All right, I am live. And I start coughing as soon as I actually start the show. Yeah, I've been considering a lot of people have a little, 5 minute or so intro that they play at the start of the show to give people time to show up because YouTube is so bad. Got all over my shirt. YouTube is so bad about sending out notifications. A lot of people usually they'll tell you the show started 10 minutes after it did. Now, I wouldn't run a 10-minute intro. That's just ridiculously long. But one of these days, I might come up with something, 4 or 5 minutes before the show starts. And I'll get around to that. But before I start thinking about making intros, sometimes I'm kind of stupid. I've always had a problem when I do a live stream working on the stove over there. I have to plug everything into my computer, and it's set up. This is kind of up against the wall in the kitchen, and the stove is, a fair bit away. I got plenty enough cord for the camera to get over there, but my mic is mounted to the wall behind me. It's mounted on well, can't quite see the boom there, but it's mounted on a little boom arm, and it works real nice, but it's mounted to the wall, and I can only stretch it out so far. So I have to try and speak up while I'm over there and use the mic, 8 feet away. The reason I have to do that is because I forgot I had this. This came with the mic with the arm when I bought it, and this is a table mount for my boom arm. All I gotta do is clamp it onto the edge of my little table here, and I can take the mic over there a lot closer. I got plenty of cord on it. It wouldn't be right next to the stove, but it would be a hell of a lot closer than mounted to the wall. So next time I live stream from over on the stove, I'll try and remember to actually use it, seeing as how I've always had it. Anyway, I'm also working on a video, and hopefully I'll get it out this weekend. I'll probably have to film it in a couple of parts. I got many things and much running to do over the next few days, but it's going to be a real nice recipe. It's really good. I finally got it tweaked to the way I like it, and it works out good. So it's just a matter of finding time to actually make the video. Hopefully I'll be able to get that going. And next week, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a show or not. Right now, it doesn't look like I will. I have to work a plant shutdown up at Jack Link's in Minong Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday at least, and maybe Wednesday. They're going to be 12-hour days, and it's a pretty good drive to get there. So if I end up working Wednesday, there's no way I'd be able to do a show. So I might end up skipping the show entirely for next week. Right now, it kind of looks like I will, but if we get done Tuesday, I'll try and do the show on Wednesday. It shouldn't be too much problem, but like I say, it's kind of up in the air and leaning towards not having a show next week. But I'll remind everybody again at the end of the stream here. So there's that. But let me show you something that I found this week in my two things actually that I found in my scrounging around this week. Found this nice little number 3 skillet for $3 at a Goodwill. Now, that's a nice little pan. That's definitely worth $3. Nice and smooth inside. And get the light right. It actually shows up pretty good on the lights here. You can see that's a marked Wagner ware. The O really shows up the best, and you can see that right away. But you got to get the light on it just right to see the Wagner ware. But a number 3 marked Wagner ware for $3 is a hell of a good deal. And even if this would have been an unmarked pan or any kind of pan, $3 is $3 is a good deal for a nice little pan like that. What'll happen to you if I don't have a show? Well, it's hard to say. Grandpa, you've been alive and dead and alive so many times, you might end up perishing again. There's always that chance, but I'm pretty sure the rest of the folks will make it through all right. Between your heart and your liver and all the other things that have supposedly killed you over the years, one of them might actually do it this time. And if nothing else, I'll try and stay home from work and harass you at a show because I'll be getting home late, so you're usually out in the middle of the night. But like I said, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, gonna be pretty grueling. Anyhow, I got that nice little Wagner that I found. And I found an unusual Vollrath pan. This isn't it. Vollraths look like that. This is one that's actually got the logo. A lot of them don't have a logo on them. They just have a number. And the number, there'll be either a dash next to it on one side or the other, or a dash underneath of it. Sometimes it's a real short little dash, looks like a dot. And sometimes there's no dash at all. There's just a number. But whatever is on the bottom, it's always going to be in line with the handle rather than across like on most pans. Now, most Vollraths have a heat ring on them, and they have a real distinctive handle. It's really scooped out in through here, and it's got this ridge that runs from the side of the pan all the way down to the eye on the hanging hole. It's pretty distinctive, but there are several pans that look real similar. And if all you can see is the handle, there's a lot of buildup on it, you might mistake them for a Vollrath. You know, this one here, for instance, the ridge goes all the way down to the hanging hole. It's pretty scooped out, but you can see the ridge comes down the side a lot farther. It's a lot taller ridge, and that's a little national. Wagner ware made national from about 1905, 1910 up until 1940. And they had just the national on them up until about 1924. So this is a pan, you know, from the 19 teens up until the early 20s. Like you see, the handle is real similar. Which one's that? That's that. This one's even more similar. It's not quite as tall of a ridge. You can see it goes all the way out to the end. And that's an arc straight logo Wagner. They made these up until probably about 1915 or so, 1918 in there somewhere. So this is another real old pan. A couple more. Some of the early Eries kind of look like that, but a lot of the favorite skillets, that's favorite cookware, best to cook in, that style logo, especially the older ones like this. Again, they're pretty similar. Usually the ridge stops a little bit short of the hole, but it doesn't come down nearly as far as the Wagner ware ones do. It's pretty scooped out. Like on this, that's a Smiley logo favorite. You can see that the ridge stops well short of it, but it can be kind of hard to tell sometimes. The thing is, even if you're mistaken and you think you're getting a Vollrath that has a whole bunch of crud on the bottom to where you can't identify it and you're just going by the handle, odds are, if you can mistake it for a Vollrath, it's going to be something like this, and you're not going to be terribly disappointed if you end up with a favorite or a 100-year-old Wagner or National. So don't go beating yourself up if you make that mistake. What is unusual about this Vollrath skillet, you see that's number 5 with a dash under it, is this one doesn't have a heat ring. Everybody thinks that Vollraths always have heat rings on them, but towards the end, it's kind of unclear when they quit making cast iron wares. They started making smooth bottom ones. Sometime in the early 60s, Vollrath got out of the cast iron business. They're still in business though. The company, they still make commercial kitchenware, food service equipment, that sort of thing, but they don't make cast iron anymore. And flip that over that way. That's number 5, and that's a smooth bottomed one. They're pretty uncommon. It doesn't make a huge difference on the price, you know, between a one with a heat ring and smooth bottomed ones. The smooth bottomed ones are all have the number on, they don't have the logo. And they I see like a number 8 on eBay, they sell for around $50-$60. You know, number 5 like this would be less. But like I say, they are pretty uncommon. You seldom find them. And I was, you know, just kind of lucky to come across this one. Couldn't tell what it was because, you know, that 5 ain't real deep and it didn't take a whole lot of stuff to hide it. but I could tell by the handle that that was a Volrath. And I thought that was pretty cool because, they're pretty uncommon. Anyway, let's see. That's that little Volrath. Oh, another thing. A lot of times you also see Volraths, they'll have a ghost mark of the logo. You can just barely see it on there. It's not quite clear when they did away with their logo, probably around 1940-ish, maybe. But you do see them that they have a ghost mark of the original logo on it. Anyway, that was the thing that was a bit unusual that I wanted to show you. I'll get back through the comments. Hey, Jay Stevio, good to see you here. Shinuto, you were here right from the beginning. Mike Newbie, he's my newest channel member. So let's all say hi to Mike. Let's see, back up. There's a start. Prairie Queen, nice to see you. Yeah, I like Escher too. And most of the Escher prints that they find online, they're in a lot more vertical format. And when you make the thumbnail for the StreamYard, it has just a little box that you can use. It's mostly horizontal. So I would end up having to cut out most of the best, my favorite ones anyway, my favorite Escher prints. And yeah, I'll think of something for an intro, and I probably won't get to it right away, but eventually it'd be kind of handy, give people time to get started, get settled in. I ain't going to stretch it out to 10 minutes like some people. That's just insanely long. It gets irritating after about 5. So pretty much every streamer you watch has one. Yeah, and like I said, it's because YouTube is so bad about sending out their notifications. I mean, I don't know how many times you get told somebody's live 20 minutes after they started. Ron Thompson and Fluffy Otter, good to see you guys. Merry Christmas, everybody. Pat Needham, you're from Oklahoma. Jim, good to see Jim. Ric Flair intro music. You gotta be careful with music because, copyright gets touchy on stuff and they'll end up killing your whole stream just because you got 3.5 seconds of the algorithm recognizes 3 seconds of a copyrighted song and they mess with you over it. Let's see. Said hi to Grampy, Sonudo, Ron Thompson, Billy Lee. Forgot Billy Lee almost. Demand a show from Grampy, Jay Stevio. Have Grampy fill in next week. I don't know if I go that far. Everybody loves Grampy except for the people that don't love Grampy. Asked for a Dutch oven for Christmas, so that's always a good Christmas present. I was going to buy myself a Christmas present. I saw a number 2 skillet. You couldn't tell quite who it was made by, but you could tell it was number 2. And it bid fairly high on it. I was going to go as high as $225 on it because they are pretty scarce and rare for no matter what brand it was. But somebody wanted it for more money than that, so didn't get that. And Nest Peeper, you just got notified. Yeah, I was just talking about that. I was thinking of starting and putting in like a 5-minute intro to pass the time until YouTube gets around to telling anybody. Probably going to get the cheapest one. Yeah, well, if you can shop around a little bit, you'd be surprised what you can find for Dutch ovens. You can get used ones a lot of times pretty cheap. I'm good, Billy. You all ready for Christmas? Buffy just joined. Bah, humbug. Yeah, I'm with you. Billy Lee's as ready as she can be. Tim Fain, hi. Or Fen Fain. Something like that. But anyway, I also have I should have grabbed that and shown you. I also have I think it's a number 3. It looks like a BSR skillet, but it doesn't have a heat ring on it. It's definitely got a BSR style of handle on it. It has the ridge and the same kind of teardrop shaped cutout on the back. And but it has no heat ring. You can see where it was ground off on the pattern, but I never seen any BSR that and doesn't have any other markings on it. So there's no telling you if it's a Century Series or shedding all of a sudden here, getting hair on my shirt. So I get for wearing a black shirt with gray hair, I guess. But there's no number on it. There's no markings, no nothing like that. So, it's hard to say what series it was from. It looks, it's pretty good condition. It's pretty good, good quality casting. It doesn't look like somebody made their own recast of one. So I don't really know what to think. I might have to get hold of Steven Strawn over on Cast Iron Cookware because he's a BSR expert. Maybe I can get him to come on the show someday. That'd be kind of fun. And ask him about it because, it's something I haven't come across before until I came across it. It'd be nice to know for sure if that's if it's genuine, even if BSR made anything without heat rings, or if it's just somebody copied it and was doing their thing. Find your number 3 3-notch hard to find a use for. Number 2 would only be a collector item. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you could fry an egg in it, about an egg and a half. But they're pretty scarce. They're rare in any size or rare in any brand. And a lot of series they didn't even make any. So you very seldom come across one. Do I have any experience with a Lodge Rusty Racer? Yeah, I've got one, and I did a video on it a while back too. I'd have to look and see. I could probably put a link to that in the description. They work nice. They're great for taking spot rust off. If you have a rusty pan that you need to restore the whole thing, I mean, it'd be a lot of work sitting there scrubbing it with that eraser. But they do work pretty slick. Especially if you have a pan to get some water splashed on or something you don't notice and you get rust spots. They do nice for taking that off of there. Greetings. Pulled out your hand-me-down glass Pyrex percolator, trying to figure out the ratio, 24 ounces to 4 tablespoons. But it was kind of light. Yeah, and you can let it perk longer too, and that'll draw more out. But even so, you'll have to figure out. And different grinds work better. Usually, percolator is a little more coarsely ground than automatic drip coffee grounds. But the coarser it's ground, the less you get out of it. I mean, it's the less stronger it is. You need a bit more coffee than you would if it was more finely ground. But you don't want it too fine ground so it doesn't go through the holes in the basket. Your husband is building a she shed. Oh, that's cool. You have a BSR chef skillet that doesn't have a heat ring, but it doesn't have the mold number on it. Yeah, I haven't come across any. I take that back. There is one number. There's a tiny little 1 about halfway down the handle, kind of on the one of the flat sides. BSR has that ridge on the bottom with the flat sides, and there's a 1 on that. But that's the only thing, and it's a regular number 3 skillet. So yeah, I don't really know what to do, what to make of it. Tish, you got a 7-quart Taiwan in real good shape. Pay shipping if you have it. Yeah, get a hold of Ron Thompson if he's willing to ship it out to you. But yeah, they really make good coffee, those Pyrex percolators. It takes a little bit of experimenting and getting it set up just right. And I grind my own coffee. You can just see it right on the very other edge, around the very edge of your screen there. You can see my coffee grinder next to the dish soap and that can of oven cleaner. And, fiddle around with different finenesses until you finally get it dialed in right. And Ron Thompson's never ready for Christmas. Well, who is? On the plus side, working this weekend, they're going to give holiday pay for Sunday, so 12 hours at $60 an hour ain't too bad. I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning and drag myself up there to be on time so I can get, we're starting at 6, but I gotta get there in time to fill out all the paperwork and all that crap for starting a new job, because it's been more than a year since I worked for this particular company. Thanks for the help on your waffle iron handles. I've been hanging in the lye bath now. It's a national patent number 1911. Ah, cool. Yeah, it's kind of, I almost never, in fact, I don't think I've ever gotten actual holiday pay. Either I was off for the holiday, or like if the 4th of July falls on a Thursday, a lot of times we'll just work that day and take Friday off so you have a 3-day weekend. But just, straight time for working on the 4th, because we're going to take the next day off instead. I've always somehow or other managed to just miss out on ever getting holiday pay for things. So it'd be kind of nice for a change after all of these years that I've been doing this. And it's nice to get a little extra money, seeing as how it's the property taxes are due at the end of next month. I got money saved for it, but it's still handy. Make an extra few $100s here and there. Yeah, national. That would have been made by Wagnerware, more likely. I haven't seen a National waffle iron, but National was the, just showed you that skillet. National was kind of an economy brand that Wagner made, from about 1910 up until 1940. So, yeah, 1911 would be just about the time they were doing it. Have I seen the large Wagner pancake pans? They make 4 at a time, and they're super cool. You mean like a round griddle? Or does it have 4 separate little spots for the pancakes? Because I know there's some that do, they got the little kind of well for each individual pancake. I do have a couple of great big round griddles, and those are handy. They make great, really good pizza pans, but finding one bigger than about 10 inch or so, it's kind of hard, and they get pretty spendy. Pretty much anything bigger than number 8 or number 9, the prices really go up on everything, whether it's griddles or skillets or Dutch ovens. Even the really big Dutch ovens go for big money. Oh, and I finally got my kid's Dutch oven done. I'll have to get that back to him here pretty soon. I just stripped the inside out. You can give it a good scrub and then re-season the inside. I just left the outside alone. That was pretty good. But it was getting kind of built up and flaky and falling off on the inside. I've seen work every holiday at a time and double or time and a half or double time, depending on the company. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've always somehow or other managed to work around just about every holiday. It has 4 separate spots, and you flip them. It's a large piece that goes over 2 burners. Yeah, that does sound neat. I haven't. It's a large piece going over 2 burners. Yeah, I haven't seen anything quite like that. The long rectangular griddles I have, but yeah, I haven't seen the one with the 4 separate spots. Is it safe to put an electrolysis tank inside with a 16 by 20 with exhaust fans? Maybe. They're not. They don't put out huge amounts of hydrogen oxygen, but they do put it out. It's like charging a battery, kind of. It should be safe inside, but I can't guarantee that would be. But if you have an exhaust fan going, that would definitely improve things. it's kind of borderline, really. I can't really say one way or the other how safe it would be. A lot of people do. Out in the garage is usually good, but a garage usually got some big open spaces, and it's usually pretty well ventilated most of the time. So I don't know for sure. If you're thinking of putting in the garage with a fan, it'd probably be good, but down in the basement might be a little bit more riskier. If you get a if the fans don't catch it all, you could start accumulating hydrogen, somewhere inside the house where you really don't want it to be. Sorry, I couldn't really give you a definite answer on it, but I always run mine outside just to be safest. I got a nice big bottle of whiskey for an early Christmas present. It's always a good Christmas present. Crack it open tomorrow night, keep us warm as you went into lockdown and big chill. It's getting cold over there, huh? Yeah, you had mentioned earlier that they were going to lock you down. I Google Wagner 4 pancake pan. It's the first result that shows up. In fact, I think I might do that just to have a look at it. I know Wagner made they made a lot of square waffle irons and kind of different different configurations of waffle iron, which are pretty neat, and some for commercial kitchen type things. You can make like 6 waffles at a time. 4-slot pancake griddle. Double griddle. That ain't what I'm looking for. That ain't right. Let me check that here. 4 pancake pan. Let me try that. Okay, there it is. Yeah, that is pretty cool. It's got the little thing you can flip them over. Yeah, that is really slick. Huh. Might have to see if I can find one of them someday. Yeah, that's a pretty neat griddle. It's got, so you can close it up and then flip it over on the other side and then open it up again. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to find them. A freezing 62 here in Miami. What is it right now? It is 10 at the moment. It's not too bad for this time of year for night. Usually we get up, around 15 or 20 for the highs during the days, around 10 or so at night. It does get colder than that, but 5 or 10 above. But we're supposed to be fairly decent here the next few days, up in the 30s, which is a bit warmer than usual. But of course, as soon as I have to start driving an hour and a half each way, it's probably going to snow on me just to make things a little bit more gruesome driving around. Oh, it's like a 4-slot pancake griddle. I've been searching for one. Yeah, I'm definitely going to start looking for one now just to see what I can do with one. I was in the 50s. I hate you people. Oh, it's so nice and warm around here. But if you ain't ready for it, if it's normally 65 degrees in the middle of December and it gets down to 20, pretty much kills a lot of people. Yeah, you only shut down for hurricanes. Yeah, you get hurricanes, we get the blizzards in the winter. Usually the worst of the blizzards you get are in usually around the first couple of weeks of March, last week of February, because it's starting to warm up enough that the air can actually hold some moisture. So you start getting big, big cold front hits some fairly humid air. You get a big dump of snow on you. Usually there's not a whole lot of snow from about mid-December into mid-January. You get some and varies from year to year, but it's actually kind of dry in January for the most part. But yeah, it's towards the end of winter, early spring is when you get the great big snows around here. Tornadoes come close to me last week. Uh, there were a couple of real small tornadoes, actual tornadoes, but there's a couple towns that had some pretty severe wind damage just from straight line winds. I didn't really get much here, a few little branches down here and there, but wasn't nearly as bad as it was supposed to have been, or it could have been. Let me block this bot quick. There we go. Hear about the snow NATO you got in Minnesota? No, but I suppose you would have because we were right in the right conditions for it. Like I said, there were a couple of small tornadoes. They were like F0, F1, just enough to qualify as a tornado rather than just strong winds. Like I say, it mostly missed me. Didn't lose anything. Any trees go down nearby. And my power actually stayed on, which is surprising because usually we get a windstorm, the power goes out because we're out in the middle of the woods for miles around. And most of the power lines are above ground. We had a 21 and 120 mile radius here. Yeah, that's quite a lot of tornadoes for this time of year. Well, for any time of year, but it's real unusual to get something like that in December. Get my tractor finished. Yeah, I got the plow all done. Got to use it because we got a foot of snow. When was that? A week and a half ago? Got a big dump of snow. Works really good. I got one little strip I got to put along the top of the mold board yet. But that's nothing too pressing. I can do that whenever I get a few hours. But it works real nice. It's I can actually angle it all the way and roll the snow off to the side better because a couple of big stretches of my driveway are through the woods, and you can't. There's only so far you can push the snow back off of the sides, and it's a lot easier if you can keep it shoved out as you go. And before, the blade was too short that if I angled it, the width of the blade was narrower than the width of the tractor tires. So you're trying to push snow while you got your tires off in loose snow, and it just doesn't work very good. But now it works just slicker than snot on a doorknob. I'm really happy with it. But like I said, I got one little patch job I got to do on the top edge of the blade. But other than that, I'm just tickled to death with it. Got the itches for some reason. Tractors, hurricanes. Then I got cotton mouth. My mouth is dry. Been dry all day. So I've been constantly sipping on something. I haven't had anything too salty lately, so I shouldn't be overdosed on sodium to try and, make me thirsty, trying to dilute the sodium. Yeah, your tongue got real lucky, but not anything bad. Jill Meadows, hey, better late than never. Well, it's good to have you here, even if we're halfway through or not. At least you found out about it before we were done. Let's see what I can do. Oh, and I finally actually remembered to get myself a little notebook so I can write things down. But of course, now that I have a notebook, I haven't actually written anything in it yet. So maybe shows will start getting a little better because, there's always something that comes, crosses my mind. Oh, hey, I should mention that on my next live stream, and never remember them. Drives me nuts because I know that I was going to say something about something, and I got no idea what the hell it was. And I got a couple little notes floating around here somewhere. I gotta try and find. I got a whole mess of paperwork here on my little computer desk where I keep my mail and most of my correspondence. One of these days, I'll actually have to make a purge and throw out the bills that have already been paid and empty envelopes from other things. Get everything sorted out again, but I'll get that sorted out about the time I get everything else sorted out around here, which never quite seems to happen. I get that. Oh, it'll come to me here. Have you seen the new Wild Turkey 101 bottles? I've had a number of customers complaining at your store. I don't mind the design, but they hate it. Yeah, I've got, well, the bottle I got now is the new one. Just has a little narrow label on the bottom, instead of the old, the full label that they used to have. Milo is quiet. Yeah, I was actually outside most of the day, running around and playing it being Milo of Mudbrook. So, got all those barking and yapping out of him, and he's settled down pretty good. He ain't over there. He must be sleeping under the bed. Wore himself out enough that he's been pretty quiet for the show anyway. Do I know much about something called a double gate griddle? It goes where the two eyes on your stoves, you take out the divider. Also heard them called sad iron heaters. Yeah, there's a couple of different things like that. The sad iron heaters, where you take out the both eyes and the divider over the firebox, and then they sit down a couple 3 inches in there, and you would set your sad irons in there to heat them. And you can use it for a griddle too. And there's also some broiler pans that are the same principle, where you'd set them right down into the firebox, and they have a kind of a graded bottom. Not the raised bars like grill pans now have, but they're actually slotted. And I've been looking for one, either one that'll go over both eyes. The problem with that is you got to get just the right sized one that actually fits your stove, because the eyes aren't very standard. I mean, there's a lot of different sizes and different increments, so it's kind of tough to find one that's the right length and the right width. But they also make round ones, Griswold and Wagner. And I saw one that was a real fancy one, real nice, but they wanted a fortune for it. And that was made by Home Comfort, which is a cook stove maker. And you take the eye out and you just set it on there like you would a skillet, and you use it for grilling steaks and meat. And I've been looking for, like I said, one at a decent price. But yeah, the double gated griddles like that would be pretty cool. Like I say, I mean, if you're trying to fit it on a wood stove, you almost got to take it home and try it out before you actually buy it. Where am I? Northern Wisconsin. You must have a great liquor store in your area. Yeah, we're kind of known for drinking around here, so there's quite a few liquor stores. All the skillets and griddles you have, I always go to my gate marked ones to cook in. Yeah, they're nice. I mean, they're real light, real thin. They heat up fast. They recover fast. They're great for searing. Lighter, thinner pans usually work a little better on the stovetop, where your heavier, thicker ones are great for baking, because in the oven, a heavier pan will act kind of as a buffer as your burner or your heating element cycles on and off to maintain the temperature. it'll keep it from getting too hot all at once and keep it from cooling down too much. You can use a heavy pan on the stove or a light pan in the oven too, but usually the heavier ones work best in the oven and the lighter ones work best on the stove. Any good places to find or buy old wood stoves? I saw a small Frankel one that doubled as a space heater, but they wanted a couple of grand. That's real high. Usually something like mine, nothing too fancy. In working order, you can find them, anywhere from $500 to $600 for something like that. And yeah, mostly just shop around. There are looking, kind of out of the way antique shops. Sometimes they'll know somebody where they can get a hold of one. But mostly it's just a matter of, looking in the want ads, and seeing what's for sale out there. Like old farm auctions, a lot of times you can find something like that there. But it's just a matter of hunting around for one. When you do find one, you got to make sure it's actually something usable. It isn't just for display. If you want it to be usable, of course. Make sure the firebox is sound and there's not too much repair work that needs to be done on it. You're pretty much going to have to figure on having to do some fixing on it because most of the old ones are old. If you want to spend big money, a couple grand or more, you can they do make new wood cook stoves. There's some imported ones from Italy. I can't think of the name right offhand. It's right at the tip of my tongue. But there's some imported ones that are really nice. Elmira stove makes they're kind of, most of them are the old-fashioned design like that. And a lot of them have water jackets in the firebox if you want to heat water with them. And they run brand new, around 4,000 if I remember. I did some looking for stove dealers in Canada for me and you acres. And let me write that down. I could probably do a little bit of looking around. What state are you in, Tim? Stove dealers. For Tim. Yeah, I do. Let me finish writing here. Looking for. See, Billy Lee wanted one too. Billy Lee, I think you mentioned you're in South Carolina, maybe. I don't want to dox you, but I know you mentioned it before. Well, anyway, I did. Oh, you're in Minnesota? Well, that shouldn't be too bad. There's an old antique shop up in Weyerhaeuser that Gene's Antiques and Furniture, and it's quite the experience going there. But I don't think he has any cook stoves for sale, but he's got a lot of cook stove parts. That's where I've gotten some bits and pieces for this. But like I said, I don't think he has any actual functional wood stoves for sale right now. But I did. If you look on my channel, it's the cast iron in its native habitat playlist. It's when I brought this down out of the shed, cleaned it up and did some repair work. And like the first 3 or 4 videos is when I'm going through this and point out some of the things to look for, what problems you're likely to run into with them. So, and this was in working order when I put it away up in the shed years ago. It was basically dirty, but there's a lot of little things broken on it. But the firebox is in good shape in it, and that's 90% of what you're really looking for. If the firebox is intact and usable, most of the other stuff can be repaired fairly easy. But if your firebox is shot, it's usually not worth messing with if the grates are all busted up or burnt out or rotted away, because by the time you're done monkeying around with that, you got so much time and effort and money into it that's really not worthwhile. Although, if it was, a real fancy old stove with all the real ornate work on it, and everything was good except the firebox, sometimes you can find parts and replace it, but it's a lot of work and a lot of messing around. If you're just looking for a stove to use, that's the thing to really watch out for, is what condition the firebox is in, because apart from the firebox and the top, most of it's actually sheet metal, even on a lot of the bigger, fancier stoves. And sometimes they'll have, cast iron well, they all have cast iron legs, but like with this, the lighter colored areas that you see, those are sheet metal, and the rest of it is a cast iron frame around it. Like the oven door and the warming oven doors, that light colored spot in the middle, that's just enameled sheet metal. But the darker stuff around it is a cast iron frame that it all just bolts together. So if your sheet metal is rusted out, you can replace that. You might not get it, be able to get it enameled to anything that would to match. But if the iron is good, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Looking for a small one for your dad's work shed. Yeah, and there's a lot of little pot-bellied stoves and things like that are more heater stoves than cook stoves. It depends on what you're really looking for, and a lot of the smaller cast iron stoves, you could do both. You could cook on them, even though they're more of a heater type. And then there's some, this is a range style. There's more of them that were just basically little boxes, really, that had a couple of eyes on top and a firebox down below. A lot of the small ones like that you can find pretty cheap if you can find one. Oh, Virginia. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere in that area. I'll do a little looking around, and on my next show, hopefully next week. If not, on the next one, I could probably give you some dealers in your area for new ones, or see if there's anybody that handles a lot of older ones. One thing you might run into with an older one is your homeowner's insurance, because they aren't UL rated, and there's a lot of things you can do to work around it, but you'll need a lot more clearance behind it and around it for your insurance. Where with the brand new ones, they're UL rated, and they're usually insulated on the back, so you can get closer to the wall with them. And it depends on your insurance company in the area around there. More like a heater stove. Dad has one of those little flimsy ones and hates it. Yeah, if you want something more like a heater stove, they haven't made them in a while. Try and find an all-nighter is the brand, and there's another brand that's real similar that I can't think of the name of. It was made in, I think, Georgia or Alabama. It's basically a welded quarter-inch plate stove. Just a real heavy box. It has a cast iron door and it's fire brick lined, and that's what I got in the living room for a heater stove, and they work real good. I mean, they put out a lot of heat, and they hold a fire real nice. If you're looking for more of a heater stove, but you'll never burn through anything like that. Like I said, it's quarter inch welded plate, weighs a ton. I mean, you'll need more than a couple of guys to get it hauled in and set up, but once you got it set, you're pretty well set. Grandma cooked on a stove, live in Mexico, and they still cook on fire where I live. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like cooking on fire. I mean, it's really fun, and especially if you have a range like that where you can get a lot of things cooking at one time. If you're good at juggling it around, you can cover the top of that, and you can make a meal for 20 with no problem all at once, even on a fairly small one like that. Let's see. Put down Billy Lee, Virginia. Yeah, I'll do a little searching around, Googling about and see what I can come up with, like I did for for me and you acres up in Ontario, and see if there's anybody local in your area that deals in new and used stoves or antique stoves. But yeah, like I said, the biggest thing to watch out for is the condition of the firebox and the grates, especially in the firebox, because a lot of times you'll find them, they're broke up, they've been welded a couple of times, brazed up, and they're, it's really not worth messing with unless it's something really ornate that's otherwise perfect condition. And for like home comfort and Monarch stoves, you can find parts around for those fairly easy. So it might be something worthwhile if it's a real fancy, huge stove that's great shape otherwise, but just has busted grates. But normally it's not worth messing with. Found your small store at a local thrift store. Came from Chihuahua, Mexico. Yeah, there's a couple of different brands that I've seen. I haven't really not looking close, but they made quite a few of them. They're a little small kind of cook stove. Usually got kind of a step down look to them. They'll have like a firebox in the front, and then behind it there'll be an oven type area, and you can cook on it. Yeah, Alamo, that's one of them. And I know there's a couple other ones that were made in Mexico, the same sort of design to them. Yeah, they usually got, it's kind of a, if you're facing the front of the stove where the door for the firebox is, they're rectangular lengthwise, and they have the little firebox in the front, and then the oven behind it, and then you can cook on top of them. And yeah, it's amazing how they cook. It takes a little practice to find where the hottest spots are and the coolest spots, and you got to watch what you're cooking more than just going by time or anything like that. You got to see how fast something's frying away, and if it's starting to get too fast, you got to move over to a colder spot of the stove. Got a wood stove just like mine. Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is nothing really fancy. It's kind of a middle of the kind of a mid-range kind of stove. It's not real big. It's not real fancy, and I'm pretty sure that one was sold through the Sears catalog way back when. Probably there's a 1922, I think, date on the thermometer on the oven door. So it's probably made in the 20s or 30s, and got an itch on my foot. It's good shape. So I imagine a lot of the Sears type stoves like that would be pretty common. Let's see here, make sure I got everybody. Yeah, I can't think of that name of the stove that's pretty much the same thing as an all-nighter. But if you Google all-nighter wood stove, you'll get a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. And I love mine. I've had it for 25 years, maybe better. And I had to replace the fire brick in it about 3 or 4 years ago. Other than that, it's just like it was when I got it, and I got it used pretty cheap. So I'm just thrilled to death with it. Yeah, putting in your she shed for you and your cast iron. Yeah, is that where you're thinking of setting up your electrolysis tank? If it's just out in a shed with a fan, you should be safe to do it out there. Yeah, I just, be kind of worried about putting one, down in the basement of your house. That'd be might be a little bit more dangerous. But like I say, it's not a huge amount of gas that they put off, but it's hydrogen and oxygen, and you don't really want to have pockets of well mixed hydrogen and oxygen building up in a corner of your basement, because it could cause something really bad to happen if you get a spark in the area. Dad really likes the old Franklin one, so it was a shame to see him ask so much for him. Yeah, I haven't really priced Franklin stoves, so I don't know what they're going for anymore. They we had one when I was a kid. It was nice, but we finally got a different one. It was kind of small. It was too small for what we needed it for, and Dad sold it off. And we got a different wood stove that put out a lot more. But yeah, I got no idea really what Franklins go for. And I know there's a lot of them. There's some that are built pretty cheap. I mean, they'd have like a cast iron top and a cast iron base, but it's mostly just sheet metal. But I've seen some that were that were all cast, so something like that would definitely be worthwhile. But like I said, I don't know what they're worth or what they sell for. Heating stove sounds like your old one. Yeah, this doesn't have an ash pan either. At work, Great Birmingham, Alabama makes lots of stoves. Yeah, that might be where the other one is. One is pretty much a copy of the other, and I think the all nighters came out after the ones that were made. Might have been in Alabama, might have been Georgia. Yeah, I can't think of the name of the other stove company. It's kind of a pain not having an ash pan, but I just got a long enough shovel that I can reach in the back and clean it out, and pretty much always leave about 2 or 3 inches of ash in the bottom, and that really helps hold the fire because your coals will get kind of buried in ash, and then in the morning when it's all burnt down to coals and just a little bit of coals, you rake them together in the middle, throw some wood on either side, and a little kindling on top, and most time they'll just take right off on its own. If you leave some ash in it, but it is a bit more of a mess to have to shovel the ash out of it than it is just to pull an ash pan out and walk out the door with it. And since those stainless steel kick plates that I got that I was using for electrodes in my electrolysis tank didn't work out for that, I got some stainless steel. I can build a nice stainless ash pan for this when I get around to it. I'll have to get some stainless wire for my wire feed, and I think they're making now a flux core gasless wire to where I wouldn't have to get a tank of, I think it's usually argon and helium that you need for shielding gas for stainless welding. Yeah, outside in your shed. Yeah, I would think you'd be safe to use it out in your shed without too much problem. And let me block another bot. Those bots have really gotten to be a pain in the ass on everybody's comment sections. The last month and a half or so, they've really invaded all your comment sections or live streams or comments on videos. There's always 2 or 3 of them you got to go through and block the user. And I don't know quite how they're getting around YouTube. YouTube must not have got them figured out, because usually YouTube's fairly good with bots. After a while, they'll catch on and they'll start shutting them down before they make themselves too much of a pain. But yeah, they can't quite seem to get a handle on these guys. But yeah, I would think, as long as it's decently ventilated out in the shed, you shouldn't have any problem with an electrolysis tank out there. Anyway, we've been at this for an hour already. How about that? So I'm going to wrap it up. And like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a live stream next week, because itching nose driving me nuts. Not sure if I'm going to have a live stream next week. I'm kind of thinking not, but if I don't, you'll know why. But if I do, I'll make sure to let everybody know early enough. And other than that, I think I finally got everything all wrapped up for this week. And I'll see you next week. And Merry Christmas to you all. Have fun. Be safe and try not to strangle your family when they get on your nerves.